of the worst things about being a reader is falling into a book slump, and unfortunately, I'm currently in one. I'm filming this clip weeks after starting the vlog because I was going to start a normal reading vlog. Well, not really that normal because my family and I went on a vacation to Europe for the first time ever, and I was going to vlog the entire thing and talk about all my reading during my trip, but unfortunately, it just so happened that a book slump coincided with this trip and my birthday. And unfortunately, all of my vlog footage is me slowly realizing that I just don't want to be in a reading mood at the minute. Now, I am incredibly grateful for our trip to Europe, and I'm not gonna lie, if there's any place that you don't want to be reading, it's probably in a foreign country with like lots of sightseeing and things to go do. So I still wanted to show you guys all the clips that I got, all the footage that I got from my vacation, but I also want to be super honest and talk about book slumps and how I'm going to try to get myself out of a book slump and not hide the fact that although I constantly am reading books and sharing them online, I too go through periods of not reading very much or getting frustrated because I want to be reading, but when I pick up a book, I'm not liking it. Like, it's one of the worst feelings. And as a reader, if you are a reader, I know that you agree. So I'm vlogging this process. You and me were in this together. But before I talk about where I'm at right now, 2 weeks later, let's go back in time to before my trip, and I'll show you guys what happened before I realized that I was in a slump. My family and I are going to Europe this summer, which I am so unbelievably excited about. We are going to England, to Guildford and London, and we're also going to Paris. And these 2 weeks are reserved solely for having fun, relaxing, and for me especially reading some good books, especially on those long plane rides when I'm in the air for like 12 hours. So there are a lot of books that I want to read that I have on my Kindle on KU, but I'm gonna bring one singular physical book with me, and then I'm gonna leave room in my suitcase to possibly come home with, you know, maybe a couple more, we'll see. But the book that I'm gonna bring with me is in fact Daisy Hates, which is the first book, well, the second book in the Magnolia Park series, but the first book from Daisy's point of view. I'm gonna be in London, and this book series takes place in London, so it's literally going to be a match made in heaven to be reading this there. And if I have time to sit and annotate and to write all my thoughts in it while I'm there, it's going to be like an immaculate experience. So this is the one book that I'm actually going to pack physically. The rest is going to be on my Kindle, which again, I really love a Kindle for its traveling purposes and the fact that you can literally take 6, 7, 20, 30 books with you in your suitcase on a tiny little device. Not to promote Amazon, but it's great, it's worth it. But yeah, this is what I'm going to pack with me. So I hope that this little vlog is a fun time, but I need to go get ready, get packing, get my life together. Subscribe if you want to see more reading vlogs from me, and let's get into this vacation Europe reading vlog video. I'm just gonna cut this particular clip intermittently throughout the old footage so I can kind of explain what was happening, because I was not the most consistent vlogger in the past couple of weeks, as can be expected when you're on vacation. So basically, I had one book coming with me in my backpack to go abroad, and that was Daisy Jones, I always say Daisy Jones and the Six, I mean Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. Now on the plane to London, I started Lore by Alexandra Bracken, I think? Yeah, Alexandra Bracken. Keep in mind, I read the Kindle version on the plane, and then when I was in London, I started this book. So these are the two books that I was working with basically the entire trip from London to Paris over the course of, I think it was like 14 days. As you can obviously see, I'm in London. We're in a hotel and I'm super excited to be here. We spent the past day and a half just kind of exploring the town. I, on the plane, tried to read, and I honestly wish that I read more than I did. It was a mix of eating, sleeping, and being distracted, and also I was crocheting for a while and watching a little bit of Dune 2, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I read a little bit, but not as much as I really wanted to, but that's okay. It's fine. I picked up Lore. I don't remember the author's name for this, but I've had this book on my physical TBR for years. And I don't know why, because honestly, I'm really enjoying this. I'm about 20% of the way through this book and it is going really well. It's going slowly because I haven't been able to read that much. I'm either trying to read before bed and falling asleep, or I'm trying to read on the plane and getting distracted. And I will say that the world building is kind of messy, so I'm not sure I'm understanding completely, but from my understanding, we follow our main character, Melora, who goes by Lore, and she lives in New York City. This is kind of like urban fantasy because it's in modern day with technology and everything, but there are also elements of Greek mythology woven into this book. I think it's 9 years, I think it's 7 actually. They have this competition thing with the gods, like descendants of the gods. During the period of this competition, every 7 years, someone like a mortal can go and fight a god, and if they win and kill the god, then they become the new god. So it gains all the powers and he becomes immortal and all this stuff. Very interesting concept. There is a lot of info dumping at the beginning of this book, which I would usually say annoys me, but in a case like this, even despite all the info dumping, I'm still a little lost as to what houses do we like, what houses do we not like, who is the enemy and not, what section are you in, do you want to compete, do you not want to compete, who is competing, why. Despite all of the info dumping, I feel like I still don't have as much information as I need. So is it actually helpful info dumping, or am I just needing more? I'm not sure. That being said, I'm loving reading this even though it is confusing. I think because it's just such an original concept, like because I know literally nothing about this book because I've heard no one talk about it, it's an enjoyable experience going into something and just not even expecting like any popular tropes, you know, because I feel like this is a little older. I got this book a while ago before booktok blew up and made plot troping like a huge thing. So I have no expectations, literally none. That's how this book is going. Let's roll another montage because I'm sure this video is just going to be a lot of me montaging my trip for my sake more than yours, to be honest. I want video proof that I came here because this is incredible. I'm so happy to be here, and it honestly is very selfish. I just wanted to put some pretty videos together before we went for this trip. Now again, because I was in a foreign country with my family, we were doing sightseeing things, very touristy things, we were quite busy, and I'm not at all trying to be ungrateful for this experience. It was such a fantastic trip, and again, if there's any place to be in a book slump, it's in a fantastic vacation. But it was incredibly frustrating to me over the course of those 14 days that I literally didn't finish a single book for like the first week of the trip. I was expecting to read quite a few books, which is why I brought my Kindle with so many options, but it just didn't happen. The lighting is fluctuating a lot because there are clouds outside. I'm sorry. But anyway, I don't want to make it seem that being in a book slump is a bad thing and that you should force yourself to read when you're in a book slump, because I don't think that's the case. But for me as a creator, and a book creator specifically, it was really frustrating that I was halfway through the month of June and I had read 2 books, the third of which would be Daisy Hates, but I hadn't finished it yet, and I was just like, put a lot of pressure on myself. And I think I don't want to spread that message. If you're in a book slump, obviously it's natural, it's normal, and I don't think you should just force yourself to inhale a bunch of books, because it's okay to not want to read. So the first half of the week I was like so mad at myself, but then towards the second half I was trying to be like, okay, it's fine, you're obviously busy, you obviously are not in the mood to really read books right now, don't stress about it, like put the book down, it's okay. So that's where I was going going into the rest of the week. We were in England for about a week. We stayed in Guildford, like I said, we went back and forth to London, and then for the last 4 days of the trip, we went to Paris, France, and so I will show those clips now of me in Paris. This vlog has been a hectic mess, but I'm currently in Paris. Ironically, it's the last day in Paris and I just haven't filmed a single thing talking to the camera because number one, we've been so busy, but also I feel like genuinely I am in a book slump. I've been trying to avoid admitting it because I hate being in a book slump. It's the worst feeling, but I genuinely think that I am in one. And it's also worse because today is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. But I'm just not in the mood to read and nothing I'm reading is clicking the way I want it to. It's so frustrating. But last night I actually did finish finally a book for this video on literally the last day of our trip because we do fly back tomorrow. But I finished Daisy Hates. Did it take me a week and a half to get through this book that was already a reread, so it should have taken me a matter of days? Sure. But I'm trying not to be too hard on myself and judge myself for taking a long time with the book. I feel like getting the story and being immersed in the book is the point, not the speed or the quantity at which you read. That being said, I do want to talk about this reread because I do have thoughts, but the problem is because I read this book over such a long period of time, I'm not even quite sure if I remember everything that I wanted to say and if I can quite articulate my thoughts properly. I'm not sure. I don't really want to hold the book. Oh, I will just show you though, I did annotate this book completely. You might be able to see there are a lot of bits of writing and tabs in this book. Maybe you can't even tell. I don't know, but I'm just gonna put a picture on the screen so I don't see this glare on the book itself. I'm not gonna lie, I did not enjoy this reread as much as I enjoyed rereading book 1, Magnolia Parks, and part of it is probably because of the slump, but also I just feel like on the second reread I am noticing more things, not only about Jessa's amazing writing that's good, but some of the things that's also bad about it, and I want to talk about those first to get them out of the way. I feel like this happens in both books, Magnolia and Daisy's, but she is not good at giving context for why her love interests are in love, and part of me thinks that she is withholding backstory for our characters for later books to be more of a reveal later. She is great at writing chemistry, she is good at writing wonderful relationships, her writing is beautiful and she uses great metaphors and it's relatable and you can feel what the characters are feeling 100%. However, for both Magnolia and BJ, and also in this case with Daisy and Christian, at the beginning they're I think I'm falling in love with this person, and I'm okay, but why? Why? And it was a little easier to believe with Magnolia and BJ because they have this history. They've known each other since they were kids and they've dated since they were teenagers, and so even though they are broken up when you start book 1, you can understand why Jessa would make you believe that they're soulmates and that they belong together because of their history that we learn as the book goes on and towards the later books, I assume. But with this one, Daisy and Christian, I don't quite see where the chemistry and connection is coming from before they actually quote get together. I think she has better writing with the side characters and everybody else besides the love interests. Once they're together, when they're fighting, when they're heartbroken, when they're in love, I understand it, but before that it's a little bit, actually quite a lot of it of tell not show. Now on the reread I gave the first book 5 stars because for some reason I was just in the mood and it was incredible, and I really want to give this one 5 stars as well because I love Daisy. I love this story, and when I first read that I actually prefer Daisy's book to Magnolia's. So if Magnolia is now a 5-star, hypothetically Daisy should be above, but I really cannot give this a 5-star. 5-star is a feeling, and this for me was a 4.5. I know that's picky. I know that's really just nitpicking, but I feel bad that I can't do it, but I can't do it. Even though I love the characters, even though I annotated it front to back, but I was just not getting my 5-star feelings, and I'm annoyed by it, but I'm not. So I'm really hoping that in the future books, they continue to improve, and I'm sure they will. Like, everyone loves the series, and I obviously do still enjoy the series. 4.5 is not at all a bad rating, but it's just not a 5-star for me, and I think that's just the context that I read the book in, unfortunately. But that being said, it still was so cool to read this in London and then also partly in Paris where I finished it, because there were actually a couple locations in the book that I caught that I have actually been to, or names that I recognize from being on the train in London. So like, it's a completely different experience reading a book in the city that it's written for, because you really get more immersed in the story, which was super fun. And yeah, Daisy's a badass. Christian, I think I see his inner monologue and his inner thought process a lot more on the reread, and I understand him as a character more, and I do feel for him a lot towards the second half of this book for sure, whereas I felt for Daisy more in the first half. It kind of swaps partway through. And Julian, I think, is still such a great character, but he is so complex, and there are so many problems that I forgot that were actually introduced at the end of this book that I'm just like, wow, I forgot about that. That's rather important. So I'm very curious to see how his character changes, and all of them, they all have so many flaws, but that's the point, is that they're all like deeply broken and make bad choices and mistakes, but you love them anyway because they're so relatable. Like, that's the entire point. So I will stop rambling. This is a fantastic series. If you haven't read it, please pick it up. But yeah, 4.5 for me. That's that on that. So we have returned from the trip, and I now have so many updates for you that I did not vlog. Again, I was a pretty inconsistent vlogger on the trip, but like I said in my last clip in Paris, I did finish Daisy Hates, and I gave it, 4.5 stars, and I stand by that opinion. So I already told you guys about this. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Since coming back, and by the way, I returned off the flight technically very early this morning. It was such a hectic travel experience because basically we were going to go from Paris to Munich, Germany, and then from Munich to Houston, Texas, and that was supposed to take 1 hour and a half to Munich and then 11 hours to Houston. But our second flight got canceled, so we had to reschedule our flight. So we ended up going to Washington, D.C. from Paris and then from D.C. to Houston. But we got to the Paris airport at 5 or 6 in the morning, and our flight didn't leave until 5 p.m. And so then we fly across the Atlantic Ocean to Washington, D.C. Mind you, Washington, D.C. is 6 hours behind, and so we lose 6 hours, and then we stay on a layover for an hour, and we got another flight to go to Houston, which is another hour behind. So basically, although I got to the Paris airport at 5 a.m. in the morning local Paris time, and I left the Houston airport at 1 a.m. in the morning the next day, if you add the 7-hour time difference, I think I was literally awake or traveling for like 26 to 30 hours. Like, it was insane. But anyway, that was yesterday. We're somewhat rejuvenated. We're back. We're obviously back to vlogging, and I still have yet to finish Lore. I was really enjoying this at the start, and I still think I have so much hope for this, but unfortunately I have lost motivation, probably because of the book slump, and because of that I just don't know how to get through the rest of this. But this will probably be finished later, hopefully, because it is on my June TBR and I do want to finish it. But as well as this, I actually did manage to read a book yesterday because of the very long travel day that I had, and I had my Kindle with me. But I actually, on a whim, picked up The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. I don't remember the author's name for this, but it'll be here on the screen. Now, again, I don't want to force myself to read. If I'm not in the mood for it, if I'm slumping, I don't want to like push myself to do something that I really don't want to do, and I don't want to tell you guys to do that either. But this is a special situation because I was literally traveling for 26 plus hours. I need something to do and keep me occupied. So I was like, let's just pick up a random, quick, easy, fun book on my Kindle. This book is about 270 pages, I believe, and it is literally fun, cozy, whimsical, wild fantasy. Crazy choice for me, and I picked it specifically because of its length and because of its just absurdity. This is monster romance, maybe? Basically, our main girl character is a human and the main guy character is a demon. He's like a dragon shifter. Our main girl, Cinnamon, goes by Sin. She is a spice farmer in this fantastical world, and everyone in this town basically worships this god and sends someone to go and fight demons every couple of years, I think. But then one day she gets drunk after partying and with her friends, and she ends up actually saving a demon, hence the title of the book. And the demon comes back and is like, hey, the god that you've been worshipping is actually just a witch that has been gaslighting all of you guys for years. I need you to come with me and kill her. That way we can save all the other demons that are being basically captured and controlled by this witch. And so she does. Is this book insane? Yes, but not for the reasons you think. Monster romance was not even that crazy for me. It is a very, very spicy book, but arguably the scenes were not all that crazy. Like, I don't know. It wasn't like a crazy erotica monster romance. It was more just like the fact that he is a dragon shifter, but he's in his human form. Now, don't get into specifics, but the part that was crazy for me, like the most, was the plot. Because tell me why, number one, so predictable. And also, she agreed to do this so quickly. And then all the battles are won so fast and it's so easy. Like, you know what? It's like a fever dream. That's how I should put it. It's like a spicy, romantic-y fever dream. She's like throwing apples at people's heads during like battle scenes. Like, hello? It was wild book. Also, I would just say too, about the length of this, I have no problems with short books at all. I've read a 35-page book and given it 5 stars. Not even a lie. It was this one, by the way. So good. But the time I got drunk and saved a demon, it's almost like I didn't want to read any more than 270 pages. I feel like that was the perfect length for these characters because I didn't need to spend any more time with them than I already did. However, every scene, I feel like it needed a little more development of the characters. I wanted more depth. The fight scenes were so convenient. The romance was very, very insta-love. The spice scenes too were quite quick. And I was just like, for this book to really live into its full potential, it needed 100 more pages, but I didn't want to read 100 more pages, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm a little lost, but I basically gave this book 3 stars. It was a fun time, a quick and easy, well, maybe not that quick because I read it over hours, but an easy, simple time, read it in one day. And I do recommend it if you want to. The rest of the series seems really fun, but I don't really think I'm gonna read it because it was more just like a one-off, pick up the book, had a good time, put it down kind of situation, if that makes sense. Those are my reading updates for the entire trip to Europe. I know I've been yapping for so long. I do have a couple more updates because I've been doing some other things I want to talk about. So number one, if you guys have been subscribed to me since last December, you know that I'm into cross stitching. I made a cross stitched thing for my grandparents last year. Last year I made a flower branch, and right now I'm currently working on a lily pad lake, basically. Absolutely not near being done, but I worked on this a lot on the plane while listening to the audiobook of the Drunken Demon book. The other thing that I wanted to show you was my little haul from Europe. I unfortunately didn't buy a single thing in England, and I feel so about it. I really wish that I got myself a little souvenir. I may get myself a little London sweater from Amazon and pretend like I got it from England because I want to have proof that I went. But when I was in Paris, I did get myself this little jumper, as it would say in England, but oh, I'm so sad. There's a stain on it from the suitcase. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get that out in the wash. I'm pretty sure I can. But basically, I got this sweatshirt that says Paris on it, and it has like the Eiffel Tower in gold stitching. It's very, very minimal, which is nice. I didn't want anything that was like too, huge and touristy. The other last thing, and probably the most important thing, you guys saw in the previous Paris clips that I did get to visit Shakespeare and Company, which, by the way, if you didn't know, either one of or the first English bookstore in Paris. It's quite famous. It's right across from Notre Dame, and it was so cool to visit. They don't allow you to film inside, so I can only take pictures on the outside of the building, but inside is like a maze of like English books in all sorts of genres, and I was really perusing those shelves. It's also so interesting, by the way, to see books from the UK or France because usually the covers are different than they are here in America. Anyway, but I did get one book from Shakespeare and Company. This bag is very crumpled from the traveling, but I wanted to have proof that I got it from that store. And the book that I got is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I am so scared to read this book. I'm so scared. I've never read anything by R.F. Kuang before, but I've heard really good things about Babel, about this series. This is apparently fantasy without romance. Very, very sad is what I'm told, which is why I'm scared to get into it because do I want to cry? No. So just as a spoiler, I'm not reading this in this video. Okay, I need to be in the mood to pick this up, but it's been a book that I've wanted to read for a long time, so I wanted to have it in my collection, and I know that we have these white covers in America, so I didn't want to get a book or the start to a book series that I wouldn't be able to get the rest of the series matching in, but we do have these white covers in America, so I can buy the rest of them and they still would match, even though this one is from France. So this is my little book souvenir from my trip. Not one that I read, but one that I'm still very excited about. All right, so the timestamp on this camera right now says 22 minutes and 48 seconds. I need to stop talking. Let's finish out this vlog. All right, I got some good news and I've got some bad news. Let's do the good news first. This morning, by the way, it's a couple days later. It's Tuesday. I talked to you guys on Saturday. This morning, I finished Lore by Alexandra Bracken, and I want to talk about it. I feel like this cover looks whack against the background because it's like all white, but whatever. So for the past couple of days, I've been listening to the audiobook for the remaining like 60-70% of this book that I had left. One of my biggest tips when trying to get through a book when you're having difficulty or when you're kind of on the verge of slumping is changing the format that you can read in if possible. So for example, I read this book on my Kindle on the flight, but I decided to change to listening to the audiobook to see if a different format would help me out. I do have the luxury of doing that because I'm buying the book twice essentially because I'm having to buy the audiobook after already having the physical copy, and I get that that isn't in everybody's like wheelhouse. If you can borrow a copy from someone, sometimes they have audiobooks for free. If you have Spotify Premium, it's already there for 15 hours. Sometimes they have those available, so definitely don't recommend like buying 3 copies of the same book, but if you have it available to listen to it or read a different format, highly recommend, because that's what got me through the rest of this book. Now, my thoughts on it. I'm just gonna say right now I gave this book 3 stars, and I'm gonna tell you why. Restarting this book after I soft DNF'd it on my trip, I was just thinking to myself, the plot started out so good. Like in the beginning of the book, I was so intrigued. It's so original, like the idea of humans killing gods and taking on their power and like this Aegon thing. Really, really cool. Because it's a plot I've never heard of before, it could really go in like a million different directions, and I was really excited about it. But then getting to like the third way through the book, I was really losing interest. It got really, really boring for me. And I think it was just because after thinking about it, after finishing, this book has so much info dumping in it. Like the entire book is fight scene and then conversations between the main characters, just telling each other what the readers need to know. So like concept, fantastic. The idea was there, but the execution was not. I was really enjoying like the ending plot, how it wrapped up towards most of the end. But then on like literally the very last page, I'm not going to spoil, but there was like half a plot twist that I was really disappointed by. Like I hate when plots are just too convenient, you know, like in a book with war and battle, like first of all, not everyone's going to survive because and realistically a war, like people have casualties, and also not everyone gets what they want. Like my perfect ending for a book like this, it's like a happy ending, but it's not a perfect ending. Like everyone has to sacrifice a little something after something like this happens in their lives. But I feel like the ending of this, in the least spoiler way possible, was very convenient, very just everything fell into the right place perfectly. It's too perfect. I don't feel the realisticness, and I don't feel connected to the characters because they didn't have to sacrifice a little bit. Is that bad to say? Like they didn't suffer enough for me. And again, the entire book was very choppy because of the info dumping and the just lack of interest, to be honest. So 3 stars. It would have been a 3.5 maybe if the ending plot twist didn't happen like it did, but yeah, 3 stars. But this is a book that's been on my TBR for literal years, so I'm so glad and like I'm satisfied to say that it's finally over. That was Lore. Now the bad news is, well, kind of good news. I made a grave error, a terrible mistake, and that is I started watching Love Island USA. I know, Sophie, if you watch a show that literally has like 60 episodes per season and you know you're gonna get addicted to it because you love reality TV, you're never gonna read a book. You're never gonna read a book. Like, I'm laughing a little bit because it's like stupid. Like I knew this was gonna happen. The show will take over my entire life. Every minute that I would have spent reading, I will spend watching the show. I think this may be the time where I'm just needing to say, hey Sophie, take a pause on reading. Put the book down and watch a guilty pleasure show for a little bit. And then when I'm in the mood for it, maybe something will strike me. So if you want to talk Love Island in the comments below, let's yap. I'm just a Love Island girl. I'm a reality TV show girl. So that's my update. I might not talk to you for a couple days, but I will talk to you when I have another book to read for this video. It's been 3 days and I still haven't read a single thing, but my friend very nicely took me to the bookstore for my birthday, and another friend gave me a book as a birthday gift. So I do have a little book haul for you guys, despite the fact that I'm not getting rid of the books that I already have because I'm not reading. You know, it's such a dilemma. It's such a problem, but here we are anyway. So first, my friend Taylor, who is always super nice and gets me books for my birthday, I do the same thing for her, and it's a really cute little exchange we usually do, but she got me Servant of Earth for my birthday. I'm really excited about this book. Number one, gorgeous edition. I don't know if you can see it, but the hardcover itself, it's not a dust jacket, like literally the design is on the hardcover. I personally prefer paperbacks like 9 times out of 10 to a hardback, but I like the fact that this design is literally just on the cardboard cover because I don't have to deal with like a dust jacket getting loose somewhere. The next book I got, my friend bought from, actually, I bought one and she bought the other. And this is a new release that just came out a couple weeks ago, and that is Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. This is book 2 after Lights Out, which is book 1. It's actually quite a bit shorter than book 1. I feel like this is only like 320 pages, even though book 1 was like 400. Anyway, but Lights Out was dark contemporary romance, and it was honestly one of my favorite dark romances ever because it was so funny. The guy in that book, Josh, was just hilarious. And of course I had to pick up book 2, had to pick it up, have to read it. And my friend Ceci is going to buddy read this with me because she read book 1 as well and really enjoyed this. And then Ceci, who was the girl that actually brought me to the bookstore, ended up also getting Quicksilver for me. This book I feel like was very, very big last like late summer, early fall. And I didn't really get on like the hype train because I was nervous that I wouldn't like it, that it was too overhyped. It is also a very chunky book, but this is 600 pages and it's also a tall paperback, so lots of fantasy in this book. This has the infamous Kingfisher and his 7-foot tall height, which I do think is really absurd and stupid to make someone 7 feet tall. Like, you're kidding me, right? But besides that, you know, stupid little romantic-y thing, I'm gonna give this book the benefit of the doubt. I'd say only about 10% of the books that I own I haven't read, but these are definitely going to add to those numbers, and maybe one of them will pull me out of the slump. The jury is still out on that one, unfortunately. The last thing I wanted to show you guys though, this is actually from my other channel, Mango Studio. I'm partnering with a brand on a sponsorship, but they sent me this product and it is so gorgeous that I have to show it to you too. Although this video is not at all sponsored, but Teddy Blake is a designer bag company from Italy, and they sent me this beautiful like tote-ish bag with a strap. It's brown Italian leather. It does smell delicious. And it's nice and big, which I liked because I probably can fit my laptop in here and take it with me to college next semester. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I just wanted to show it off because I'm so grateful to have received this, and I'm so happy to start using this. It's like a very adult bag, I feel. Like I'm an adult, I'm in college, but it's like a very adult bag. So yeah, I'm excited about that. If you wanted to check it out, by the way, I do have a discount code. You can use the code TBMangoStudio30, I'm pretty sure, but I'll have it down below as well if you wanted to check Teddy Blake out and get some money off your purchase. But again, not sponsored, just had to share because she is gorgeous and I'm really excited about her. This vlog has been eons long. I feel like I've been filming for I have been filming for 2+ weeks, but it feels like 2+ years on this video. But hallelujah, I finished a book. Thank goodness. I literally haven't finished a book in over a week since I got off that flight. I have been trying to pick up things. Nothing was working. And so I took like a couple days, a week-ish, just completely away from books. I didn't pick them up. I went to the bookstore like I showed you a couple days ago, but I didn't read anything. I didn't try to force myself to listen to any audiobooks. I was just like, Sophie, obviously you need a break. I'm rambling. The point here is, I'm not sure if I'm out of this slump completely yet, but I have read my first book out of the slump, and I do feel encouraged to pick up another one right after this. So I'm hoping that we're kind of in the clear, we're kind of escaping the slump, and that the next vlog I shoot for y'all will be much more invigorating and I'll have the energy to read more. But that's the good news. The bad news here is the book that I read was Caught Up by Nevessa Allen, but unfortunately I gave this book 2.5 stars. I was debating between a 3 and 2.5. I have it set on 3 on Goodreads, but 2.5 3.5 on other platforms because they won't let you do half stars on Goodreads. I just don't think I enjoyed this okay. I part of me did enjoy it. Part of me was glad that I could read something, pick up something, and finish it. And I read this in literally 2 days. The audiobook was super helpful. The fact that it's only like 320 pages was helpful. And also the fact that it's a very easy book to read. And there are not all cons about this. I didn't like despise this book, but I just don't think that this book lives up at all to the first one in the series. Now, Junior, or Nico, is in the mob. He's like the oldest son of a mob boss. And then Lauren is a sex worker, so that's what she does. So she's kind of removed from the mob. She's on the side. And honestly, a lot of people in the mob don't like her because of her profession and things like that. This is just their romance, you know, very simple, very easy. Really, genuinely nothing crazy happened. The pros in this book is that number one, it's very sex positive, very sex worker positive, which I appreciate. I think definitely there needs to be more representation for that. Speaking of representation, there is also a non-binary character, like a prominent character in this book, and they talk a lot about like queerness in general, so that's fab. What else was good? I'm like struggling to think of anything else. There's good smut in this if you want a lot of good smut, but there is a lot of smut in this, I will say. A lot of it is focused around her job, and also just like they tend to connect very physically, the two of them. And that's where we get into kind of the cons of this book, because I feel like I felt no love between these characters or no like romantic chemistry. It was all just lusty in my opinion. Like Lauren kind of has a personality, she's a little spunky. Junior really has no personality. He's just hot and doesn't want to be in the mob anymore, and that's really it. I know nothing about him as a person except that he likes voyeurism, but that's besides the point. Yeah, it was just a lot of physical. I didn't feel the chemistry. They technically knew each other when they were younger, like in high school, but we didn't get any flashback scenes or anything, and I just feel like a lot of this was tell not show. The issues with their dads, tell not show. Like I didn't really realize the severity of the problem until we got to the end and realized, oh, that was the conflict all along. It's not really a spoiler. I mean, like I'm not gonna get into specifics, but also like a lot of this book is pretty guessable because it's a very, very simple mafia. Oh, also, Navessa Allen writes mafia like she maybe brushed it with her pinky, and that's about it. And I say that like the only reason I didn't give book 1 5 stars, I gave it 4.5, was because at the very end we introduced the mafia plotline that's in this one, and it threw everything off course for me. Like I think it was such a good contemporary romance until she dropped in the mafia, and I was like, wait, what are we doing here? This is out of the blue. And then this entire book is technically about the mafia, but I've read a lot of mafia books. Take a shot every time I say mafia in this clip. And this book made it seem like the author doesn't know what the mafia is. It was a lot of, oh, we're burying a body, and oh, I'm doing a business deal. If you're gonna give me mafia, give me actual mafia. I want the grit, I want the drama, I want the mess, I want a good amount of crime. Like, I need something interesting. Yeah, I was just like, I didn't get anything from this. What I did get though was being pulled, hopefully, out of my reading slump. I suppose we'll have to, you know, reconvene on that in the next vlog, and I'll let you know how I'm doing, how it's going. But this is the first book I've read in over a week. I think I'm gonna be back into reading. I don't know. I don't want to push myself. I don't want to be, you know, crazy, but I really want to read. So we'll see how easy I can get into another book. And hopefully July is just a better month in general for reading for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this like crazy mix of book slumping and taking a trip to Europe. Like what a wild ride. If you want to stick around for my next reading vlog, make sure you subscribe. And I'll have my June wrap up video here on the screen from last week. I love you so much, and I'll see you next time.